Ike Live, brought to you exclusively by Abu Garcia.
All right, guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to a brand new Ike Live show, wherever you're at, wherever you're watching or listening. Guys, this is going to be a pre-recorded show, but let me tell you, we got a good one for you today. Joining us just a minute, we've got Emil Wagner, hot off of a Lake Champlain win. Also, Bassmaster Classic qualifier for next year. So can't wait to get Emil on. Let me give you a couple updates on a few things. The show is brought to you by Abu Garcia, the maker of great rods and reels. Head on over to abugarcia.com. Check out their stuff. Pretty awesome stuff. Did want to shout out the new Beast rod and reel real quick. I had a chance to fish the Beast casting rod and reel with some brand new swim baits, glide baits, and it was pretty awesome. And just got back from an amazing saltwater fishing trip for giant bull reds using the brand new Beast spinning rod and reel. So if you like big baits, if you like more of that inshore stuff, give that a try. It's pretty awesome. Also brought to you by Tackle Warehouse. Everyone I know shops at Tackle Warehouse. Head on over to tacklewarehouse.com. They've got really cool one-off stuff that you're doing with a lot of companies. So you're going to see Tackle Warehouse exclusive colors, sizes, even shapes. So head on over there and check some of that stuff out. Last but not least, brought to you by the Ike Foundation, trying to get new kids fishing one at a time. If you want to help get kids fishing, if you want to help try to grow the sport, head on over to ikefoundation.org and you can get more information on that. All right. Enough of the small talk. Want to get him on. Joining us now. I think this is his first time on Ike Live show. We've got Emil Wagner. Emil, what's up?
What's going on? Yeah, it's first time. Thank you for having me.
That's awesome. I appreciate you coming on. So right before we went live on this, we were just saying, I'm like, man, you hadn't been home in a while because I saw you at the Potomac. Then you win Champlain. Then I text you like, man, I want to talk about the win. And you're like, I'm at Lake of the Ozarks. And then you tell me you're leaving like next week for something else.
Yeah. We went from Potomac to Champlain to Ozarks and then to Gunnersville. And then I just got home last night. And then I'll leave again Sunday for Gunnersville. And then a week after Gunnersville, we go to Grand for the Toyota Championship. So that was why I went to Ozarks, was to get into that. But yeah, it's nuts. I don't know. I can't resist it. Like I'll hop in anything I can. Like if there was a big tournament here tomorrow, like I have like a day and a half to prep, I'd probably go hop in it and cut my prep to half a day. That's just how I am. But it's getting anything I can. I want to be part of every championship and every good tournament, every chance to make a little money.
I love it, dude. It's the bass fishing gypsy lifestyle, which is a real thing. And if you have lived it or are currently living it, you know. But I think for a lot of the viewers and listeners, they don't realize that you're literally living on the road. And there's so many like not great things about it. But what you said, I think hits home. It did for me when I was doing that, is that it's like that burn, that desire to keep competing and keep trying to figure out that puzzle, right? That's what drove me to do it. And, you know, I did it like, I'm trying to think, late 90s to like 2007, 8, 9 in that era. Emil, I was doing the same shit. I was like straight up gypsy. I was at the height of it for me. I was fishing the Bassmaster back then. I think it was the top 150s, the FLW Tour, the Northern Bass Opens. If there was a BFL, I jump in it. If there's a
BFL, like I'll come home like from a big turn. Like seriously, I'll come home from 3 in a row, and if I get home and it's Tuesday, I'll drive straight to the Tuesday nighter and fish for $400. I don't care what it is. I just like competing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think we've all got that in us to some extent, and I don't know how sustainable it is to actually fish that much, but as of right now, I feel like the more I fish, the better I fish. And I noticed that because even if I take like 2 weeks off, and I guide most of the time when I'm home, but if like I kind of get lazy for a couple of weeks, like I can tell, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I try to fish everything I can, even this off season. You know, I'm gonna try to fish every local tournament and everything else. But
It's awesome.
Competing, man, it's a lot of fun. And I know you do too, and all of us.
Oh yeah, do it as long as you can. You know, because I tell you, I look back on that time period, and like I said, it wasn't all like, it's not all like great, because there's bad shit that happens in between, and you know, it's not glamorous. But I look back on those years, and I'm like, man, I missed that. Like it was good. You know, I don't think you realize how good it is until you get older and you look back and you're like, damn it, like that was fucking great. You know, like that was a great time in my life.
Well, and everything's got its advantages, right? Like when you're fishing all the time, there's something really nice about that. But then when you're in, you know, your point of life where, you know, you have more like your career set and you can kind of do other things, like there's some really nice stuff about that too, I'm sure, like being able to spend more time with like your family and do fun stuff and whatnot. So I feel like, you know, there's ups and downs to everything. And like you said, being on the road all the time, man, like if you don't actually freaking love it, like it sucks. Like I love it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm never complaining when I'm out there. There's nothing else I want to be doing. But I think from, like you were saying earlier, from an outside perspective, I think it's easy to be like, oh, that dude's just ripping around with a boat and catching fish. It's like, nah, you didn't see the 3-tire blowouts and the Red Roof Inn I slept in, and
the greasy hamburgers, the
zero wing, you know, one of the day, or you know, whatever. There's so much that goes into it, but still love it.
I do too, and I miss that. And the reality is, you know, life will change for most people. You know, you'll as you get older, your career, you know, you got more sponsor obligations, you got a house, you got this, you got kids, you got 4 kids running around screaming shitty diaper on. Like things change, but I wouldn't change anything. But that era that I had that you're living now was amazing. So enjoy and keep enjoying it. I mean, I'm telling you, it's it's an amazing thing. You'll 20, 30 years from now, you look back, you're like, oh yeah, that was the shit. I did want to jump back to it. You are one of the, I would consider, you know, like when I look, because I'm a big fan of the sport too, even though I'm still competing, and I look and I see there's like about a dozen young guns right now, younger guys that are really kicking ass, carving a place in the sport. I put you in that category, but I think too many times people will get on bassmaster.com or they'll look and they'll be like, man, these fucking kids nowadays, they got it so easy. And like you just showed up like with a pocket full of money, but that didn't happen. Like 99% of the time that doesn't happen. Talk a little bit about how you got into this mess. Cause I know a little bit of your backstory, but how did you get where you're at now?
Yeah, it was honestly like a pretty grassroots growth, and I paid for everything just through tournament winnings, like the whole way through. And so I graduated college and I got like a regular desk job, actually working for Pure Fishing for a little while. And I've been wanting to start my guide service, but obviously like you go through college and it's like you're kind of expected to use your degree and whatnot. But I did that for a little bit, and I've got bad ADD too, so I can't really sit for very long at one time. So I decided to kind of ditch everything else and just start my guide service. It was pretty fortunate timing. Like I had just won like a bunch of local tournaments in a row. So I was like, I'm going to start this now. I know I'm going to get some trips at least to start, and we'll see how it goes. And man, guiding has honestly been like the backbone to everything I do. Like fortunately now, like I've done it long enough, and like, you know, I've sponsor stuff's working out a little bit and everything else to where like I don't have to guide every single minute I'm home. I can take a few days off. But when I first started, I was guiding every day, you know, doing doubles, all that stuff. And it was really good money, honestly. Like I was, you know, making more money than I did at my desk job. And I could fund the traveling, and I could make my own schedule, and I go fish whatever I wanted to. So I started that guide service off, and I think that year I fished like 12 BFLs or something, and you know, had some really good ones, qualified for the All-American, and then that next year, you know, stepped it up to the Toyota Series because I had, you know, more money to pay for those entry fees. And honestly, I had chalked that year up as like, it's funny, like when you haven't fished big tournaments, like I think you expect them to be this like crazy thing that's like insanely hard to do, which they are, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but like
Yeah.
I remember showing up to my first Toyota and I was like, man, like I don't know if I can compete here. And then I got a check in that one. And then, the ball just started rolling and stuff
Yeah.
went really well. I managed to win that All-American. That was huge. I mean,
Yeah,
then
that's an
that
amazing feat.
paid, yeah, that
That's
put
an
some really
amazing feat.
legitimate money in my bank account. And man, I fished Toyotas for a year or two and had some really good years, almost won a Toyota championship. And then going into that next year, I was like, I need to figure out, what I want to do with this as a career at this point. And
Yeah.
I decided to hop in the opens, and dude, it's just been an amazing ride, honestly. Like I've learned so much. That's what I always look back on, even after this year. Like every year I learned so freaking much. Like you think you know it, and then it's going to be the same next year. You go through a year and you see some new lakes and you meet new people and you learn new techniques, and you're like, man, like you almost feel like you didn't know anything the year before. So
great. I love that about this sport, dude. I feel the same
Me
exact
too.
way, and I've been doing it for 30 years, and I
Yeah.
feel the same exact way. I really do.
But yeah, really just paid for it with tournament winnings and guiding and everything else.
Yeah.
I wish I had a trust fund. That'd be nice.
I know. Like I said, I think that's the reality. Most people think that, but the reality is not.
Yeah, like, and even here's the thing: even if there is a guy whose parents are paying his way, it's like, listen, if your parents had a bunch of money and offered to pay your way, you probably would have said yes.
You would do it too. Of course you would. Yes.
Right. So
Take
I'm like,
advantage
almost
of it.
you can't even fault someone who does have that reality. But you're definitely right. I think there's definitely a segment of people that think that's just the majority of us. When in reality, we're out here working hard, just
working hard, putting the time in, busting your ass. Now, the guiding thing, I've had so many guys on over the last 10 years on this show that have guided or currently are guiding, and I hear all the positives, and I see that, like fishing every day, being put under pressure as a guide to find fish is very similar to tournaments. So you get in that mode. So a lot of positives. Yeah. What's a negative of guiding? What if you had to give me a negative? What's a negative? It
will wear you out a little bit. I mean, it's a 45-minute drive for me to Lake Lanier still. I'm trying to move closer, and even if, a full day for me is 8 hours, but we fish more like 9 hours. And then you add prep and rigging rods and picking the boat up, it ends up being like a dang near 12-hour workday. So it can be physically and mentally exhausting when you do 5, 6, 7 trips a week, depending on, and now, like I said, I've done it long enough to where almost all the guys I take are repeats, and we're already comfortable together, and we know each other, and it's all good. But yeah, I mean, it'll wear you out. And I mean, obviously every now and then you might get a guy who's not, your favorite trip in the world. But honestly, for the most part, I've been pleasantly surprised. Like I can get along with, most people, and it's honestly been pretty good for the most part.
I think that would be the challenge for me. I think would be the babysitting aspect on certain clients, like, dude, you're guiding a Lanier, you get a lot of like city folk, you know what I mean? They like jump in the boat, they're holding the spinning reel upside down, like that would, to me, I would, because I have ADD too, and I'd be like scratching my head, like starting to get
I had
nervous.
A lot more of that in the beginning, you know what I mean? When I just, any call I got, I was like, yep, let's go. Now it's, like I said, I'm fortunate to where I can be a little more selective about it. But yeah, and I mean, when I first started, especially, I would get really, I don't know, frustrated is the word, but like, I knew how good the potential could be. So like when we weren't achieving that, it would almost, I was like going crazy. But then like I learned after a while, like you just had to take a step back. Cause like a lot of the times people who don't fish all the time, they're still having a great time catching some. So it's like, you're looking at it from this.
Whatever. A lot of times the boat ride, like
right.
I've had, like I said, I've had sponsor things where, dude, they love the boat ride. Like they didn't even care that we caught any fish. They were like, man, I never went 70 in a boat before. That was awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And to us, that's just waking up and taking a shower. Like you don't even think about that.
I do want to ask you this, because as you were talking, a lot of similarities with when I started, minus the guiding, but I fished. I came up through the Federation. It's now the Bass Nation. I did the Redmans, which are now the BFL. So a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Now that you've achieved this point of your career, you're kind of settling in now. Were there a lot of people in those beginning years, like especially after you graduated college and you're like, man, I want to do this other thing. You know, you got a degree. Now you're trying to do this. Were there a lot of people, friends, family? Were there people that said, you're nuts? I mean, what are you doing? You're crazy. Were there people that doubt it, or were they all very supportive?
No, I mean, there definitely was, both. Like there was, or even if they, people didn't say it directly, you could tell just like when you told them what you had going on, they were just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I know what you're thinking. You can just say it. But no, I mean, definitely. But honestly, after, especially, with my parents, like, I love them to death, but they, when you first say you're going to fish for a living, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? But,
yeah. You see them like take a big gulp, like,
yeah,
what?
but my parents are, they watch the tournaments now and are super supportive, and I appreciate them more than anything. And I got some friends who, don't even fish that'll text me and be like, man, I watched, anytime I'm in a tournament, they're watching. And now it's been nothing but positive, but definitely in the beginning, there were some people who were just like, I remember I had a professor who freaking like yelled at me pretty much in private because I had to like miss a test for practice for a college tournament. And he was just like, this is not going to work out. You need to figure out what you're going to do and
get your priorities straight.
Yeah. I kind of wish I could talk to him now, but
yeah.
But I mean, that's just anything,
Yeah, find him on Facebook and send him the link to the Champlain win. That would be funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Champlain win, congrats. That was awesome. It is hands down. It's my favorite lake in the entire country, entire world. It's my favorite lake. So I was watching like nonstop because I'm like I fiend on Lake Champlain, like everything about it. So that was awesome. And I gotta say, like, to me, an All-American win is like winning the classic. Like it really is to me, because I know I fished those Redmans. I know I never qualified for one, so I know how hard it was to get there. Like that to me is like winning the classic. But this one had to feel, this one had to feel kind of, this one had to be special though, because
they all
it was sort of this inaugural event. It was live, like people got to see it and breathe it, and it of course is with Bassmaster. Like, so we're about a week removed. Is it still has it set in? How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, it's definitely set in now. Never really had a chance to celebrate, unfortunately. Like literally I won the tournament, did a couple interviews, idled over to the other ramp, put it on the trailer, drove till 1 a.m., slept at a hotel, and drove the rest of the day till Ozarks.
Wow.
So didn't even get a chance to really celebrate. But it was just an insane week. Like I know I've said it a few times, but like seriously, probably the most fun I've ever had at a tournament. Like just the sheer amount of 4-pound smallmouth I caught those first 2 days. And the final day was a different story. I had to adjust a lot, and it got a lot tougher. But man, I absolutely love that place. We fished the Toyota Series there 2 months ago. Tucker won it, and I got third. And every time I've been up there, I've just jived with it. Like I love how you can go catch them on grass, you can go catch them on boulders, you can go catch them on deep humps, you can go catch them on docks, you can catch them on sailboats. I love fishing structure, and there's like infinite structure they get on there.
A lot of variation, multiple species. I saw a couple guys in the top 10 relying on some largemouth as well. It's cool. I do love that. I love the dynamic nature of that lake.
Yeah. Whereas when you go to St. Clair, it's just like this giant bowl of sand, and everyone's just like, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. It's a cool place. Usually on Ike Lives, we focus more on the other stuff, but I'd make a mistake if I didn't corner you a little bit about some of the baits and the techniques. It was cool to watch it, but the bait you were throwing, I thought was awesome, because I kind of was like, the last couple of years, I kind of thought I was like the only one throwing that bait, because most dudes are like, oh, it's Sakamata or nothing, and it's the Jackal, the high roller, there's all these very iconic minnow baits, but you threw a bait that I thought I had sort of to myself, and I was like, God damn it. I'm like, there's other dudes throwing this shit. Talk a little bit about the bait and the technique and that stuff, because I think our viewers want to hear it.
Yeah, that flat nose jerk shad. I believe it's a tricky name. It's blue pearl black hologram, I believe, and that's really the only color. It's the only one I throw color wise. And I actually remember the day I figured that deal out. It was with me and Justin Lucas were fishing on Gunnersville, I think a year or two ago, and that was before like kind of everyone had started throwing a minnow out there, and like we were like, I wonder if we catch them on this thing, and we tied on that jerk shad, and dude, we caught like 30 pounds in an hour and a half or something. And we were like, this thing's legit. And since then, you know, I've mixed it in a bunch. I weighed in a bunch of mine at Okeechobee on it in the open last year.
Really?
I mean, they'll eat that thing everywhere. And obviously it's max scent. The color's super natural. And that was just, man, it's obviously there's a lot of really good minnow baits on the market, and I own about 20 different brands of them. There's great times for different ones, different actions, different colors, but I use that one a lot. And yeah, I really like it, especially in really clear water scenarios. I like it when you have a lot of wind or if it's cloudy, because that color, I like the clear colors a lot, but that one, it's like almost like a milky color. And when it's cloudy, or if the water's just a hair more stained, I really like that. That color. But yeah, really good bait, man. I've caught them on it everywhere. Obviously the flat nose minnow is great. I use that one when they're on like really tiny bait. But yeah, that was weighed pretty much every bass on a jig head minnow, and that wasn't necessarily expected because the Toyota event I had there, I freaking destroyed them on top water, and it was so fun. Like I had 2 or 3 grass spots, and normally those fish in the grass really aren't that big. I've noticed like it's a lot of like 3-pounders, but I had these 2 stretches with some toads on them, and that was like the main reason I signed up for the Open, was to go up there and throw on that.
And do that.
Yeah, I get there and the water's 3 feet low. I go check all my best shallow stuff, and I'm talking, it's a ghost town. So I'm like, all right, time to abandon ship, and ended up found that one magical spot. And it was like storybook. I don't know if I've ever had a tournament like that where it's like you find an insane spot in practice, you start your tournament on it, you catch them, it just goes right. You know what I mean? And that's really how the first 2 days of that event went.
It's cool. It's cool when it works out like that. And I do think, you know, the other thing on that max scent minnow, I think the more guys are starting to figure this out, you know, it's like more and more every year, those fish are getting more pressure. I do believe that scent makes a big deal. Makes a big 100%, difference.
Especially for smallmouth.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really believe that makes a big difference. Now, I want to pick your brain a little bit. You hear about the minnow and how important it is to achieve certain actions with that bait, right? And here's the thing. I think a lot of people that don't fish the minnow are thinking it's like these big actions. Like, you know, if you were to throw a crankbait, it's got like that, but they're little actions a lot of times, just subtle movements. Is there anything in particular you did there or you do to make that do a certain thing? Like I've seen guys like use a loop knot. I've seen guys skin hook it as close to the top as they can get it to put the majority of the weight at the bottom, like what, or the majority of weight at the top. What are there subtle things like that?
Yeah. And man, a lot of, and this is like whenever people ask about this, I throw it so much at the house and stuff, it's like I almost get overwhelmed. But so it was just like throwing a minnow for spotted bass. And what I mean by that is like when you're throwing a minnow, like, and it's like any technique that anyone's mastered. Not saying I've mastered it, but it's like if you talk to Brett Hyde about a chatterbait or anything like that. Like if you throw it over and over and over, you start to realize, okay, this is muddy water and they're glued to wood. This is clear water and they're on bait. This is clear water and they're on the bottom. We got smallmouth spots, everything else. And the colors, the retrieves, the speed, everything, the weight size, if you can dial that in perfectly for the exact scenario you're in, that's what a lot of times separates you from the other guy trying to throw one. And making really good casts and the right presentation and everything else. But yeah, that week, whenever this is kind of some juice, I guess, but whenever I'm fishing for smallmouth and spots, I always do a loop knot because I'm not worried about keeping that bait horizontal in the water column. A
Right.
lot of the times I'm pulling the bait away from the fish. So with that loop knot, I don't know how to describe it, but obviously with it being a loop knot, it always stays upright and you're always getting the right action out of the bait. Whereas
Right.
with a Palomar knot, a lot of the times I'm using that like around largemouth or structure where I want to keep the bait very horizontal.
Horizontal. Right.
But yes, that week it was all about getting the bait past the fish and keeping it at an appropriate distance above the fish to where in that really clear water, if that bait is super close to them and they see it, I think they know that like a bait fish isn't stupid enough to be like, ooh, he's 4 feet from the top of the head in super clear water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think a lot of guys will just kind of throw their stuff out there and get it near a fish and start working it. And they're like, man, why aren't they biting it? It's like, just like anything else, it's got to be a really natural presentation. So
Yeah.
you just, when you saw one or you got on, you know, a ledge with, there was a lot of schools where I was fishing like on top of a ledge. Like it was literally like the TVA ledge fishing on some of the spots. Really cool. And when you saw a good opportunity, like you really had to slow down and be like, all right, well, let's do this right. Because once they see your
Right.
bait one time,
Right.
like you can't screw it up. Like if you throw it short or you bring it a little too close to them and they see it, it's like, there goes your shot at a 4-pounder
over.
every time.
Yeah.
So the key for me was really, you know, a 1/4 and a 3/8 ounce head and making perfect cast keeping the bait far enough above the fish and a pretty good amount of speed.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. And I think that's a great tip is to approach it like it's going to be your one and only cast and make
Correct.
sure that everything's right. I think that's a great tip.
Yeah. And not to cut you off, but
yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's almost hard to explain, and I feel like you probably run into that with some fishing questions you get, but every scenario is different. Every lake you go to is different. The fish, even if they're smallmouth eating alewives, two different lakes, a lot of times the fish act totally different. So
that's crazy.
You have to try to just dial in and figure out what the fish want at every, you know, lake. It's like throwing a topwater. The cadence is different everywhere we go. Like at home, Lanier, we throw topwater all the time. They don't necessarily like the same cadence here as they do on Hartwell. So it's like, I just think keeping an open mind and trying a lot of different stuff, especially in practice when you have the chance to, is really important.
It's a great tip. It's a great tip. And I think too many people just assume a jig head minnow is one thing, one minnow, one thing, and it's broad, just like every other style of fishing. So I think that's great. Now, I did have one other question, and this is a question for me personally. And I watch my son. My son Vegas is really, really good with electronics and forward facing. And I try to watch him and learn as much as I can. And it blows me away that we'll be out on the lake. He'll be practicing for one of his events, or I'm captaining one of his events, and he's actively not casting at certain fish, either because he thinks they're too small or he knows they're not bass. And I'm looking at him like,
you're like, how the hell did you know that?
I'm scratching my head. I'm like, and I don't say this out loud, but I'm like, he's fucking crazy. Like, there's no way he knows that blob is not a bass and that blob is. But he does that. I watch him do it all the time. It drives me nuts. But he's selective. I know at Champlain that was a big deal for you with being selective with size. Talk a little bit about that, because I still totally don't grasp that all the way.
Yeah. And you know, there'll be guys who try to tell you like, I can tell if it's a 3.5 pounder. It's like, in my opinion, that's a load of crap. You can't tell exactly how big the fish is, but
like 3.73.
Yeah. I'm like, get out of here. But if I shoot up on a ledge and there's a group of fish here and another group of fish there, and one group of them is 15 inches and the other ones are 3.5 to 4.5 pounders, I can tell that very easily. But there's still, like, I'll get fooled sometimes. Like, I'll think one, and a lot of that depends on the angle of the fish and how they're facing your beam, I think. Because if you have one swimming this way from your boat, I think you're getting his whole side on that on that transducer image. So he's going to appear bigger than if you're shooting just at his tail swimming away from the boat. So I think there's definitely, I think that's just time using it, and the clearer the water, the easier it is to tell too. But yeah, it was kind of a big deal at Champlain, but for the most part, like I could just tell the really small ones from, something that could be decent. I will say the last day I had to adjust and I got on another spot, and I knew before I pulled up, because I found them in practice, there was a bunch of tiny ones and a select few huge ones. I don't know why. I didn't find that much on Champlain, but there was like a bunch of 15, like 14 inches little ones, and then a couple like 4 3/4 giants. And it was the weirdest thing. But in that scenario, yes, it did help, because like I would see a group of literally 30, 15 inches up on the ledge. I'd be like, no, I know what's going on here. And then I'd scan out, right off the ledge, and there'd be one or two, big mamas sitting
gorilla heads. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are and if you mess up and throw at the little ones, then the big ones see the little ones moving, and then you lost your opportunity at a big one. So yeah,
That's
it definitely, it makes a difference. But that's just, like I said, we've been using it on linear for 4 or 5 years now. And it was just like fishing, honestly, like wintertime ditch fishing here at home.
Yep. That's awesome. That's I can tell you, it's still high on my priority list this off season, is to continue to try to develop and get better at that. So I need to do that. Now, this is great. I know a lot of people already know this, but probably some don't. By winning a few weeks ago, Emil, you did give one of our elite guys an opportunity to get into the Bassmaster Classic, which is a big deal. And you sent John Cruz to the Classic, which is really, really cool. John's a good buddy of mine. So I got just a little questionnaire here, and we got about 4 options for you. And this is the only thing with this show, is that you have to tell the truth. So I'm gonna ask you a question with a series of potential answers, and you got to give me the correct one. It's the only rule in Ike Live. You got to tell the truth. Okay. So based on that, I know John's thankful, and I know he was happy and probably was screaming and yelling at home watching. But based on what you did for John, I want you to give me the correct answer on which of the following he did for you after you bumped him into the Classic. First, A would be, did he just call or text you with a simple thanks? B, did he buy you dinner? And I'm not talking about a regular dinner. I'm talking about like a good dinner, steak dinner. C, did he promise you a lifetime supply of missile baits D-bombs? Which I think that would be pretty good, because I like the D-bomb at certain times. Or D, did he give you all his waypoints for the events next year for the elites? A, B, C, or D?
A combination of A and B. He called me.
That's the correct answer. It can be a combo. Okay.
Yeah. He called me, and obviously he was super happy and thankful and all that, and asked, what he could do for me. And I didn't need anything from him. Like I was just, I was happy he got in there, and he's like, well, I have to do something. So I was like, well, take me and my roommates to dinner at the Classic, steak dinner or something. Cause it'd be fun for all of us, hang out with John. Heck, you can come, whoever wants to come. I don't care.
That's awesome.
But no, he's like, I got to do something else. And I was like, man, I really don't care. And then of course I get back to the house, and Paul's like, dude, call him back and tell him you want whatever money he makes at the Classic. But no, man, it was funny. We, like I said, I'm happy he got in, and obviously if I was in his position, I would have been ecstatic too. And part of me also feels for Matt Messer, though, man. I feel I understand it I'm so jacked John got in, but I also feel bad that Matt Messer didn't get bumped in, from the opens. But like I said, that's not taking anything away from John. I wish everyone could get in. But yeah, man, super stoked for John. He seems like a really good dude, and yeah, we'll see if he wins that Classic. Maybe I can get a little bonus check.
Yeah, well, he's a good dude. I'm glad it happened. And you heard it here first in Ike Live, guys. If you're at the Bassmaster Classic, open invite to come to this dinner.
Yep.
Everyone's invited. It's on John. So if you want to get a good
steakhouse in Knoxville.
Order as many drinks. You get the whole bottle of vodka, the whole bottle, whatever you want, drink it. It's all on John Cruz. You heard it first here. I want to, as we get toward the end here, I feel like obligated to sort of talk about just a few of these things real quick with you, because we've had a lot of older guys here on the show recently. And I think age and, how long you've been in the sport does have there's a parallel there on how you think about certain things.
100%.
So I threw that last question in there about him giving you waypoints as kind of a teaser to this, but Emil, I got to get your opinion on what the hell is going on with all these DQs. Like now in the sport, not just in bass. Bass seems like there's one every tournament, but in other leagues and other circuits, got a lot of DQ stuff going on. What do you feel about all this stuff happening?
Yeah, it's man, it's the info stuff is the number one cause of stress and mental bandwidth for me throughout the year. And that goes for me and all my roommates. Like, I've called Lisa over the dumbest stuff in the world. And anytime I feel like someone even mentions the word of a lake we go to, I'm cutting them off. And it's very, very exhausting for me. But I also understand why the rule's in place. But it is a tricky one. I don't know. I think about it a lot because, you know, I feel like everyone has a different level of, I don't know. I feel like everybody has a different conscience, and I feel like I always have a guilty conscience. So the lie detector stuff honestly does kind of scare me because I feel like I could, you know I haven't done anything, if not the exact opposite. Like I go out of my way to cut people off, and I just feel like, I don't know, the lie detector stuff, I really, in a way, I wish we could do away with it and find a different solution.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be, but it does seem weird to me that all of our public image and our respect can be ruined by just someone with a lie detector. And that's, like I said, that's not Bass responded to what the anglers wanted. So it's not Bass's fault at all. And there are people who love the system we have in place, and you know, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing, but it's very stressful. And like I said, me and my roommates, I know we've all called Lisa so many times, and to the point where she's probably like, "Guys, you're fine, like chill."
She's on speed dial. Yeah.
Right. And but yeah, man, it's very stressful for me, at least, because like I said, I feel like I have a guilty conscience when it comes to a lot of that stuff. Just like I'll get done with a conversation, I'm like, did that guy say anything? I can't even remember. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
no, it's a real thing. It's a real fear, you know, and it worries me too. You know, it worries me that just your emotions, just the emotion of being nervous about the test itself, right? If nothing happened and you're nervous, will that, you know, you're kind of like, oh shit, is that gonna, you know, I cheated on a test in 8th grade. Oh shit, is that going to come up? And will I think that thought? And that could, you know, so that's a real thing, and it's a real stress, you know?
And like, I feel like, you know, certain people probably just think about it a lot more than others. And it's, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's been very stressful. And, you know, I don't know what the perfect system is, but I wish there was a way we could do away with lie detectors. And that's, again, I feel like some people would hear that and be like, oh, that's a cheater wanting to get away with something. And it's like, it's not. It's just, I don't feel like the amount of stress it gives me and some of my friends and other people I know is worth. And I don't know, man. I don't know the backstory on some of the recent DQs either.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it, and I don't know. All I know is it does add a lot of stress to my life, and I try to avoid that stuff as much as I can. But I don't know. I don't know what the perfect answer is.
Come up with a better system, because I think the one in place is not. It's probably maybe the best they have right now, but I don't know that it's the right system, right? Because, you know, when I won't even point any out in particular, but I think maybe some of the DQs for information recently were correct. And I think some of them may have been wrong. You know, I think some of them may have been that gray area that we all deal with almost every event, even when you stop somebody, or even when you know, it has nothing to do with what's currently going on that week at that location. I think sometimes that can give you a false positive, you know?
I agree.
It worries me. It worries me, like you said, that people's careers are getting tainted or ruined or shut down by a mistake, you know?
And it's, you know, it's like if some guy walks up to you at a gas station and wants to tell you about a 7-pounder he caught 10 years ago, it's like, that's not going to help me in my tournament at all, but I'm still cutting him off. And then that guy thinks I'm a dick or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I hate that, but it's like, I don't want to have to think about it. And then, it kind of turns people off. But
I think intent is the big word, and if we could figure out a way to focus it toward that, because
I agree 100%.
I can tell you most of us, 95% of us, we know what we're doing. We have our game plan. I don't want to listen to that shit. That's always the worst advice, because they're telling you something that happened in the past or something that happened last week, and it ain't going to be any good anyway. So I always shut that stuff out, but maybe intent somehow. I don't know. We got to improve the system, I think,
Yeah, because I'm over here like going to a different aisle of the tackle store, so I don't have to listen to the guy in my aisle talking to his butt. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so stressful, and it's every day. I feel like I'm dealing with it. But
me too. You think that with technology, Emil, they'd have a better system by now, right? Like look at this AI shit. For crying out loud, robots are doing everything. You can wear glasses now that have the little AI thing on them. Like, come on, they can't come up. I'd rather have a robot give my polygraph than a human right now. Like that's how I feel, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the perfect thing would be if there was somehow a technology that just knew if someone was actually a cheater or not, but that's just
a blood test. You're gonna tell by your blood. I don't know. Last but not least, this is another one, Emil, and this even more so I want to get your personal take on, and as being a young guy, is the recent announcement from Bass. Big deal we had here in the last month where, they decided to do a coin toss kind of thing, which essentially left us in a position next year where we've got not quite 50-50, but about half the tournaments with allowing the technology of forward-facing sonar and about half without. We know from, I got to tell you guys watching that we all have phones and the anglers have a little group chat going on. So I kind of already knew a lot of the feelings and stuff from the group chat and in our association. But give me you mentioned you room with some of the other guys that are in your, age category. And what's the feeling about this change for next year?
Yeah, I mean, especially like even in our house, we have varying opinions about it, even though we're all young. But man, the 50-50, I personally, and Paul and Tucker will hate me for this, but I kind of like it. You know what I mean? And but I also think that I don't know. I go back and forth on it a lot, man. But like, I think that they did a great job this year. Like, I think we would have been fine keeping it too, because the scheduling this year, they did a really good job. And even I think they would have done a great job next year, still allowing it all and then pretty much just working around the schedule, because half the tournaments this year were won without it anyway.
Right.
So it's, I don't know. I think to be totally honest with you, I'm just tired of hearing about it. And
right. Me too.
I wish we could somehow, now that we have 50-50, I really wish that Bass would come out and say, this is what we're doing for, whether it's all scope, 50-50, whatever it is. I wish that they would say, here's what we're doing for 5 years or 6 years. And that's just what it is. Yeah. Because I'm tired of the change, and I'm tired of everybody having, I feel like I wish we could sign a contract that says this is what we're doing and you have to smile. I don't know. Like everyone.
I know. It's a strange time because there's all this, not just forward facing, but man, I've never seen more negativity in the sport about a lot of stuff. And it's driving me nuts too. I am so sick of talking about it because I want to focus on the positive shit. I love the tech. Yeah. I want to focus on the positive. I want to get more people fishing. I don't want to keep talking about the same shit over and over, but yeah, I wonder though, I almost wish you're right. We would have a long-term direction, because I feel like they're almost using this as a litmus test for what they will do in 27.
Right. We've got legit data now. Like we'll be able to see if a no scope event actually gets more or even less viewership than one where it's allowed. Like if we go to a Gunnersville where with live scope, we'd 100% have multiple century belts, versus without it, it's going to be a whole lot tougher. That's just the nature of the pro. We're not going to be able to fish for those suspended bait eaters that we've learned, that's where a lot of the big fish live in the winter. But yeah, I mean, we'll have some legit data, but no, I mean, I absolutely love the technology, but I also, it'll be cool to have some events where I don't even have to think about it. Cause like it is funny. Like, I'll use 10 killer as an example. I got on a really, really good flipping bite there in practice. And then of course the whole top 10 catches I'm flipping, but I was also catching them scoping down near the dam. And that morning I'm like, what do I need to do? And I went and, I scoped brush and bait eaters down the lake and only had, 12 pounds a day and didn't make the cut. Whereas I know if I would have went up there and flipped bushes, I had a ton of bites doing it in practice, I probably would have had a better event. But at the same time, you take it away, all those bushes get a whole lot more pressure. So I don't know. I think it'll be cool to have some events without it. We'll get to see some patterns like at Gunnersville. 100% if we had it, all the top 10, if not 9 of the top 10 would probably be scoping stumps and hard spots and fish on bait. Whereas now we're going to see a lot of, honestly, the bridge bite will probably come back into play. We're going to see a lot of chatters and traps and square bills and whatever, out in the grass. And if that's what some people want to see, that's what we're going to get out of that one. So I'm cool with whatever they do. I really am. And I do hope we never get rid of it though. I really do. Cause I think that would be kind of a disservice to a lot of the people who have put years and years into figuring it out. And I think it's a really cool technology. Cause I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to go to St. Clair without it. Cause what a lot of people forget is the general public all still has the technology, and fish act nothing like they did 7 or 8 years ago. So it's cool to say, oh, let's go have a no scope tournament on St. Clair or Lanier or wherever. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. But in certain times a year, those fish are so freaking smart now. You almost couldn't target them without it. And I'm not saying there's not other patterns that would play or whatever.
Yeah.
But the whole general public still has it. And at the end of the day, fish act nothing like they did 7, 8 years ago. You can't pull up on a big stump row and just throw your big worm out there and any fish within the vicinity will just come eat it. That's just not how it works anymore.
Yeah.
But I do really like getting to target those fish that we haven't been able to target for so long. But also love going up and flipping a bush or skipping a buzzbait under a dock or whatever it might be. So I'm excited for the 50-50. I hope that it leads to a better overall sentiment on the elites. And I hope, maybe some of the older guard who wasn't too happy with the full scope, maybe this will, I don't know, make everyone a little more happy. It probably won't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So just to clarify, so if bass, let's say that, this is a litmus test and they say, oh, we got better results on the ones that they didn't. If bass the following year decided to ban it, speaking for yourself and some of the other young guys, would that be something that would cause you to say, screw it, I'm going to a different league? I mean, if they banned it, would you stop fishing bass?
Well, here's the thing. If they came out, and I personally doubt this happens, but if they came out and said our no scope events did way better, as a business, they would be dumb to not go that direction.
Right.
I mean, that's just business. I would hope that, that reflects well on our ends too, whether it's payouts or coverage or whatever, whichever decision they go with in the future. But yeah, I mean, that it would kind of suck. I mean, like I said, I love using the technology, but at the end of the day, if somehow the no scope events just way outperform the live scope events, then I mean, that, as a business, you would have to go with that in the future. But I personally doubt that happens, but who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
It's like a crazy time. That was their highest viewed event of the year. And it was a scope giant fish fest. You know what I mean?
Scope fest. Yeah.
So, And the sport's bigger than it's ever been right now. I mean, maybe not, I'm not saying that the sport's perfect by any means. It's not, but in terms of participation, and a lot of that is 15 to 30-year-olds that are loving the sport and getting into it. Yeah. And those people I know have no problem watching a tournament where 6 and 7 pounders are being reeled in on Japanese baits and minnows and everything else on live scope. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be an interesting year, and I'm excited.
It will.
Really.
And I can tell you, I'm excited. And I mentioned this on the last Ike Live too, but I'll mention it again. I'm excited that it will put to rest the notion that all the good young guys are just scope heads and they can't catch them without it. So I'm excited to see the guys that are known for it, including yourself. I'm excited to see you guys kick some ass next year in the no scope tournaments. I'm also curious to see which guys won't catch them. And I honestly think 90% of the newer, younger guys will. I think there might be a few, but I think the majority will catch them. I think it's going to shock a lot of people. It's going to shut a lot of people up. Hopefully deflect the direction of this negativity a little bit. So I'm excited about seeing that, really am.
And I think what people forget too is that whether we had all scope events or all no scope events, someone who's really good at scope still sometimes sucks at a scope event. And you can still have a Hackney or a Christie or a you or anyone else have a really bad tournament at a no scope event. So it doesn't make anyone immune to a good or bad event, depending on the rules. We're going to have good and bad events, whether they're all scope or they're all no scope. But I do think overall as an average, you're going to see the guys at the end of the day who work the hardest still do good. That's how anything in life works. If you put the effort in, or if you've got a natural ability at it, like you're still going to do good. And that's, I don't know. Well, like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. I think we have a really cool schedule next year.
It's a good schedule. I'm looking forward to it too. And, can't wait to get another year started. Emil, thanks for coming on the show, dude. I kept you a lot longer than I thought. I was like, it's going to be about 30 minutes. We're like approaching 50 minutes talking, but that is a sign of a good show when that time goes like that and you're just talking. So I appreciate you coming on. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'll do it anytime.
Yeah. Congrats again on the Champlain win and the classic qualification for sure. And definitely look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. And like I said, we'll do it again.
You got it. Safe travels next week, Emil.
Appreciate it.
Later.
All
right, guys. There you have it. That was awesome. I am glad I got to track him down. One of the bass fishing gypsies, the young bass fishing gypsies on tour nowadays. That used to be me a long time ago. But we had a chance to catch up with him, and it was awesome. Love hearing some of that stuff. The mental perception from a guy in his 40s, 50s, 60s is a lot different than a guy in his 20s and 30s. And it's refreshing to hear some of that stuff. Whether I totally agree with it or not, it's exciting to hear that. And, I think he hit the nail on the head in that last talking point. He said there's a ton of 20 and 30-year-olds that want to get into this, that love the sport. And we don't want to create barriers for them, right? We want to create openings for them. So it's an important thing to remember, no matter where you stand on some of these issues, get more people fishing is what we want to do. Shout out to Emil for coming on. That was awesome. Let me remind you guys, Ike Live is brought to you by Abu Garcia, the maker of great rods and reels. Head on over to abugarcia.com and check out their lineup, including, you heard me mention at the top of the show, the brand new Beast, Abu Beast rods and reels. They're awesome. If you like throwing some more heavy-duty stuff, freshwater, if you like that light inshore saltwater, this is a good series to check out. If you're a swim bait, glide bait angler, you got to check it out. It's really awesome. Also brought to you by Tackle Warehouse. Head on over to tacklewarehouse.com for some great deals, including exclusive colors, shapes, and sizes, only available on Tackle Warehouse. Last but not least, brought to you by the Ike Foundation, trying to get new kids fishing one at a time. Listen to me. I don't care where you live, West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, North, South. We got to get more kids fishing. That's the reality of it, dude. There are less kids outdoors. There's less kids outside. Things are changing. Let's keep these kids outside. Let's keep them fishing. If you want to figure out how to help with that, head on over to the ikefoundation.org. Lots of ways to help. This is a fun show, guys. I had a lot of fun with you guys. And as always, appreciate you watching and listening. I'm going to have a couple new shows for you coming up in the next few weeks. Look forward to seeing you then. Signing out from Ike Live. Bye.
Do you fish for excitement?
do you fish for passion? Do you fish to get outside? Or do you fish to win? Abu Garcia for life.
You guys know I'm a power junkie, not just on cranking, but on my trolling motor batteries. The days of running 2, 3, and 4 batteries is over. Guys, we've got this new system, and this is going to be what I run. We've got a 31 that will run everything in my boat, electronic-wise, 1 battery. We've got a 36 that will run my trolling motor all day, 1 battery. Last but not least, we tie it into 1 charger, charging both batteries, and we've got an amazing system. Tie that into 3 posts, little visual indicator, Bluetooth, NEMA. You add all those things together, and you've got a system that's going to change the game. Check this out. It's the brand new Pro Guide batteries and charging system. It's a game changer.
You know, right now where we're standing, we're in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is right there. This is the concrete jungle. And, you know, a lot of those kids, as they grow up, they don't fish. It's interesting because they're surrounded by water. You know, the Delaware River, the Schuylkill, ponds, city park lakes. But they don't have the influence to cast, to fish, to have a rod and reel. And that became our focus, you know, is to target kids in what we call non-traditional areas, you know, urban areas, city centers, where the population's high, and let these kids have an experience. You know, it's amazing. I mean, some of the experiences we've had, whether it's Central Park in New York City, here in Camden, other parts of the country, even just casting.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to see it, isn't it?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
And you know, you see these kids have this experience they've never had, and they light up, you know? The big thing, I think, for the Ike Foundation is we're not saying we want all these kids to become professional anglers.
Yeah.
It'd be great if some of them did, but we want them to have that fishing experience because it ties them to so many other positive things. The outdoors, nature, conservation. Ecology, you know, all these amazing things in life that maybe they wouldn't have been exposed to any other way. We're trying to help with that. So it's important. It's important for us.
Yeah.
We're proud of it.
I subscribe to Bass U TV, and so should you.
Great place to learn about anything you want to know about bass fishing.
You get it at Bass U. We got the best of the best.
I'm not just an instructor, I'm a subscriber.
I'm John Cruz, and I am a subscriber.
You can always learn, and watching Bass U definitely helps with that. It's something that I like to do, and it's definitely something that you need to do.
If I'm still learning, you should be too.
Subscribe to Bass U because you'll learn how to catch a lot more fish.
Ike Live, brought to you exclusively by Abu Garcia.